Good evening, Chetan ji. Are you there?
Yes. Good evening, Narottam bhai. Good evening. सब लोग हैं.
Okay.
Activate क्या? ऊपर activate सर. यहाँ पे top पे activate लिखा है.
Narottam,
Yes, sir.
yeah, we all are here. Huh? You just start and introduce yourself.
बराबर था.
Don't you have an earphone?
No, sir. I don't have earphone.
Right.
So, Chetan ji, can you just put up the slides of Dr.
Yes.
Sudeep Saran? Yes.
Correct. I will just brief sir and the entire flow. So just sir has called me. Good evening, sir. Welcome you for
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, sir. कैसे हैं?
Live right now.
Good evening. I'm fine, and just at the 7 dot, I'm here on the screen.
Yes,
Great,
yes.
sir, great to have a doctor like this.
Sir, we are not live
And
right
I'll
now.
finish by 8.
Once you give us a go ahead, we will make live the session. Right now, we four only can talk in the panelist right now at the back end. So I will just give you the flow of the program. I will just welcome you and the entire guest, our speakers and you. And then there will be an intro, a small intro slide will be taken care by Shalabji or Narottam bhai, who either of can take the intro slide, and they will hand over the dais to you. And then you can start the session, sir. And post the session, we'll have a question answers, and then we can close the session with vote of thanks from either of this zonal heads or RSM. Is it fine? Shalabji and Narottam bhai, it's fine?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Enough. Though the introduction will be made by Narottam and vote of thanks, I'll go ahead.
Okay.
Right.
No problem, sir. So I'm just sharing my screen for the first time to show you the intro slide.
और कितना टाइम हो गया मतलब बच्चों 1 घंटे मुझे पैकअप करना है.
So this is the short intro slide I have made, what CV and data you have shared. Just can you go through it and give your confirmation so Narottam can take it from you.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's
Okay,
fine.
Thank
You can
you.
be very brief.
Yeah,
You can
we'll
be
start.
from Bareilly, and everybody knows me over here.
Correct,
All
sir.
my friends. So I think not to be elaborate. Just show it and pass on to the next. Right?
No problem. Thank you,
Right,
sir.
right.
So, sir, to allow us, we are going live now, sir. Should we go live, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Ashu, please take us live now.
Okay, sir, give me a 10-15 seconds.
Okay, no problem. So I will, Narottam, I will welcome you after once we go live. I will welcome all and I will hand over mic to you.
Sir, now we are live.
Okay.
Hello.
Good evening, all. I myself, Chetan Padwal, Group Product Manager for Valera. On behalf of Alchem Diabetology, I welcome all for our one of the best program on evolving evidence with evogliptin with renowned speaker, Dr. Sudeep Saran, sir. So I welcome all our delegates and sir for the program. With us, our zonal heads are there and regional heads will be present. So they will welcome you all for that. Over to you, Narottam ji.
So, good evening, sir, and good evening, all delegate doctors. I am welcoming all delegates and speaker, Dr. Sudeep Saran, for this CME evolving evidence on evogliptin. So, just to brief about Dr. Sudeep Saran, he is a very charming and renowned personality, renowned doctor of Bareilly. He is a MD medicine physician and postgraduate from as diabetes and professional diploma in clinical research. There are lots of accreditations associated with Dr. Sudeep Saran. He is director in charge of intensive care unit and Institute of Paramedical Sciences, Bareilly. And Dr. Sudeep Saran is specialized courses in field of diabetology, cardiology, TB and chest disease, thyroid, heart failure, and Alzheimer. There are lots of courses he has been done and achieved their achievements. Dr. Sudeep Saran right now is having memberships of various societies. Right now, Dr. Sudeep Saran is a member of American Society of Critical Care Medicine, American College of Chest Physician, Diabetes Association, and Indian Society of Critical Care Medicine, and also Indian Society of Cardiology and Endocrine Society of India. There are lots of awards and accreditation which Dr. Sudeep Saran has accumulated in their experience. There are lots of awards. Some of them like awarded Bareilly Ratan in 2015, awarded Rohilkhand Gaurav Samman and Vishisht Seva Saman and Intellectual Peace Award in 2002. So there are lots of things which associated with Dr. Sudeep Saran in Bareilly and associated area. Everybody is known about Dr. Sudeep Saran and his personality. So today's session is about evolving evidence on evogliptin. This is a new gliptin which is somehow, and there are lots of things which is needs to be discussed about evogliptin. There are lots of parameters where evogliptin scores over other DPP4 inhibitor. So today our esteemed speaker Dr. Sudeep Saran will explore all the advantages of evogliptin and their comparison about different DPP4 inhibitor and how can it be best used in the diabetes management. So, Dr. Sudeep Saran, I will hand over the session to you. Sir, kindly proceed the session for the consent processing.
Good evening,
Over to you,
Mr.
Dr. Sir.
Good evening, Mr. Narottam, for a very nice introduction. At the same
Thank you, sir.
time, Mr. Chetan to start with the affair, as well as Mr. Shalab, which I can see on my screen. As well, good evening to all those viewers who are connected or they are being connected right now solely. Before starting the things, I'd like to say something. On every Saturday, previously, what was the habit? Everybody was making a program, whether we had go to this club or that club, and so many parties and everything was fixed. So Saturday, it was like it has been literature also described Saturday nerve palsy. That means a palsy which develops after the enjoying the Saturday night. But now, due to Mr. Corona, everything has vanished. There is no party, nothing, and every Saturday, so whatever the leftover choices is to have the webinar, and why not to gain something? Why not to gain something out of this? When there was a time of CME, always there was an attraction. After the CME, there was an invitation from the president or secretary that now the things are open for the cocktail. But here in the webinar, there is no cocktail except that you have to make your tea or you ask your spouse to make your tea and to have the tea after that. That's all. Anyway, with this now today's evening, I'd like to start with this basic question about the management of the diabetes. And today, like evogliptin, the drug which has come up, what is the need to talk about this drug and how I am going to advocate this? So at least that will be the purpose of this evening. When I'll start with this diabetes management, first of all, a basic question which comes to my mind, what is the best anti-diabetic agent? The best anti-diabetic agent is a drug which causes, number one, the maximum reduction in the glycosylated hemoglobin. Number two, the dose convenience, preferably the once a day. Number three, neither toxic nor toxic. Number four, no hypoglycemia. And number five, not having any other side effects. On these parameters, we have got a list of the drugs. First of all, the drug which came into the market, that was the sulfonylurea, which came into the 1930s. That is really a very effective drug, causes still the maximum reduction in the glycosylated hemoglobin, but there is a problem with that drug. Sulfonylurea, they causes the maximum hypoglycemia, which is of much significance nowadays. Second drug in 1957, which came the biguanides. Initially it was the fenformin, which was very popular for the 2 years, but due to the incidence of the lactic acidosis, this was banned. And the second version, the metformin, came into the picture. Right now, 56 onwards till now, the best drug in the diabetes is still the metformin. Because number one, this causes the maximum reduction in the glycosyl hemoglobin. This is absolutely safe. This increases the receptor level. This increases the other insulin level. So still, in all the protocols, if we talk about the American guideline ADA, if we talk about the European guideline, or we talk about the JNC 8, or we talk about the Indian guidelines, in all the guidelines, the number one drug is metformin. But metformin has a very big side effect. That is the loss of taste, the nausea, and sometimes the vomiting, specifically when the dose exceeds the 1 gram. This glyphosate or metformin, this decreases the glycosyl hemoglobin as well as decreases the weight. That was the advantage. After that, there was other drugs, ascorbase, GPI inhibitors, but there was intestinal problems and the reduction of the glycosyl hemoglobin. Again, that was not too much, only 0.5%. And there was a lot of the flatulence, other symptoms. So it was not become a very popular drug. After that, there was an era where the pioglitazone came into the picture, thiazolidones. Initially, the rosiglitazone was there, but that was banned, followed by the pioglitazone. Again, that was a popular drug, good anti-hypoglycemic drug, but there was an incidence of the cardiac failure, left ventricular failure, and pedal edema. So again, there was a lot of the restriction with the drug, and ultimately, with the black box warning, it was issued again, and now is being practiced with a great caution. After that, there was an era of where there is a incretins and gliptins. Now, I would like to focus about these two types of the drugs, incretins and gliptins. For that, I would like to go into the basic physiology. There was an experiment which was done was 1718 by a biochemist. What he did, he just gave the oral glucose to a person as well as injected the glucose in the IV. And he made a very important phenomena. He noticed a very important phenomena that with the oral glucose administration, the insulin level was higher in comparison to if it was given IV. So this was the generation of the concept. But this finding remained noticed for around 100 years. When somewhere around 1906 or 10, there was an again observation made where where the mucosa cells of intestine from a mouse was injected to a diabetic person, and they found that these intestinal mucosal cells, they causes the decrease into the blood glucose. At the same time, another experiment was done when the oral glucose as well as the injectable glucose was given, and the insulin level was studied. Anyhow, by this time, there was a concept which came clearly that there is something in the intestine which causes the increased release of insulin, or which causes the control of the diabetes, and this effect was caused as the incretin effect. After the invent of the incretin effect, the drugs were also discovered, and they were the exenatide, GLP-1, and GIP. They're the two enzymes. They have been discovered into the Kupffer cells of the intestine. What was the property of these enzymes? With the administration of any food or any glucose reaching to the intestine, that food stimulates the GIP or GLP, which causes 1 to 3-fold increase into the release of the insulin. So what was the ultimate result? With the help of the enzyme, which are being induced by the intake of the food, they stimulate the liver to secrete the more insulin. So that was a very good finding. So the drug was made for that. It was the exenatide, but there was a problem. They find that enzyme is being destroyed very quickly whenever it is released into the circulation. So idea came to find out what are the enzymes which are destroying these incretin hormones. Ultimately, this DPP4, dipeptidyl enzymes, they were discovered. They were responsible to destroy the GIP or GLP very soonly. Now GLP-1 analog, they were very costly, 4,000 to 6,000. So it was not possible to bear for a general public. So now the thought process changed. Instead of that increasing the GLP-1 or incretins, why not to discover the drugs which destroys this DPP for hormones? And in this DPP hormones, if you will see, they find further, it is not the DPP4, DPP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till 9. There are 9 types of the DPP which are ultimately present into the body, but only DPP4 was responsible for inhibiting the incretins. So the DPP4 inhibitors were discovered. And the first DPP4 inhibitor which came into the practical this thing, it was 1946 when sitagliptin was the first drug when it was used on the human being. Ultimately, after the lot of the work, somewhere around 206, the drug was approved by FDA. So it was the first DPP4 inhibitor which was approved by FDA and was approved and accepted by all the doctors as a very safe and very good drug, because this inhibits basically the incretins destruction. So ultimately, incretins level increases and there is a control of the blood sugar after that. Now, after this introduction of the DPP inhibitor, first of all, the sitagliptin came into the picture in 2006. In 7, this vildagliptin came, 8, linagliptin, and then after the other gliptins also, saxagliptin, they came into the market. They all were FDA approved. But there was a dramatic change when somewhere around in 2013, by a Japanese company with Mitsubishi, which runs also the trucks and everything, they came with a new molecule, which is called as the teneligliptin. It was a very cheap molecule and it was very effective. After the teneligliptin, again a Korean molecule, evagliptin was again entered into the market and approved by Korean government, later on also approved by DGC Indian government. Now, with this establishing fact, the emergence of the evagliptin, I would like to advocate why these gliptins are really the very good drug. Number one, as I started, I said the reduction of the glycosyl hemoglobin is say up to the tune of 1%, so it is good drug. Number two, it do not cause the hypoglycemia. This is a very important point, because you see, other drugs like sulfonylurea, they stimulate the pancreas, so nobody knows up to the what amount of the insulin is being released. Here, this medicine works only once we have taken the food. If we have not taken the food, there is no hypoglycemia. So this was the biggest advantage. Number three, the no relation with the food. You can take it at any time, and all the time the work was, because the half-life, it was around 3 to 3.5 hours, and the total duration was around 32 to 36 hours, very long. So there is no question of hypoglycemia. Other than this, the most important part which has been observed, number one, In diabetic, like when they say there is a gradual destruction of the beta cells. But with the use of the DPP4 inhibitor, this destruction is stopped, which has proved by the estimation of HOMGA, HOMGA, which is a scale to assess the destruction rate of the beta cells. So that destruction is halted, and it is not the halting of the destruction. At the same time, the reconstruction of the dead cells also started. So what happens? Both the things, reduction the destruction as well as the synthesis of new beta cells, they again rejuvenate the pancreas to a newer level. So again, this was an extra advantage with this drug. Now, it is not only releases the insulin more when you take the food, it also increases the number of the insulin receptor. So in other words, it also decreases the insulin resistance. It increases the insulin sensitivity. It also decreases the level of glucagon. So what is ultimately body is not releasing its own glucose into the circulation, as well as this is weight neutral. So there is no question of increasing the weight. Again, this is one of the very important points. As far as the drug use is concerned, this can be used as a monotherapy or can be used as a polytherapy. In the monotherapy, it's a very good drug. If in mild to moderate cases, one can use it, and single drug can do the wonders. If you have to add on therapy, so in that situation, you have to be careful. In that situation, if the patient is established on the insulin or other sulfonylurea, you have to reduce the doses of insulin or sulfonylurea because this can cause the hypoglycemia. So considering this point, the drug is as a monotherapy because a single drug not causing the hypoglycemia, protecting your pancreas for future, not weight gaining. So from all the qualities, this is a very good drug can be used. DPP4 inhibitor can be divided into the two types of the inhibitor, peptide mimetic inhibitors, which include the saxagliptin, vildagliptin, and talagliptin. And the second category is non-peptidyl mimetics, which are linagliptin and alogliptin. What these DPP4 inhibitors, how they are working, they basically split the dipeptide hormone attached into the DPP4 enzyme. So this splitted dipeptide kills that DPP4 enzyme. So ultimately, they inhibits by that. So with this inhibition of DPP4 inhibitor definitely gives this advantage. Now, we have got a long list of DPP4 inhibitor. To start with the sitagliptin, whatever is the efficacy or non-efficacy, one line, it's a very costly drug. So not the drug for general population. So there is no sense to talk about the drug. Linagliptin, it's a very good drug. The only advantage of the linagliptin, it is renal safe, where dose adjustment is not required. Again, a very costly drug. Now, vildagliptin, again a very good drug, but the problem is most of the time you have to use it in a BD doses. This is the biggest limitation with the vildagliptin. Now we are left over with the two drugs, tanagliptin and evagliptin. Now, if I have to compare these two, before that, I would like to come to a particular point that how these DPP4 inhibitor works. Any drug, there are 5 types of the receptor, S1 and S2, then S1 extended, then S1 dash and S2 dash. So any drug which is working on 2 or 3 receptors, this is better. A drug is working on single receptor, it is not a very good drug. If we say about the tanagliptin, it is working on the S1, S2 only. If we talk about the evagliptin, it is working on S1 extended, S1 and S2 receptor. That means it is working more on the receptors. Now, coming to if S8 and S9, if some drug is working on S8 or S9, they produces the more side effect. What are the side effects with the DP4 inhibitor? Number one is the nasopharyngeal allergy. It is due to the inhibition of this DPP8 and DPP9. So your drug should not inhibit DPP4 or DPP this 8 or 9. Other drug which other side effects which has been reported rarely with the DPP4 inhibitor is the pancreatitis. And if we talk about other drugs with the side effects which are very, very rare, which includes hypoglycemia, specifically if it is being used with the other drugs. Otherwise, there is no practical as far as the cardiac safety is concerned. Those all the drugs have been studied head to head, like MASE, major cardiac event, MASE, that parameter is more or less same. That means all the drugs are same. As far as the other parameters, there is no head-to-head comparison, and there is no difference between all the drugs. So, in nutshell, when I'll compare in by screening out one another, I came to the conclusion that the evagliptin, which is working on the 3 receptors, is definitely superior, as well as the other go. So with this introduction, I would like to advocate now. I'll show you how this evagliptin is being supported with its qualities, is being supported with its supportive studies, and how it is safe. So with this, my start. With this evagliptin, the molecular structure you can see on the screen as such. When this came into the picture, like take the next slide. Just I would like to take some time because the next slide, now it is on the screen. DP4 inhibitor, what is the current place of the therapy? This is being indicated for the treatment of the type 2 diabetes mellitus as a monotherapy or in the combination or adjunct to the diet as well as exercise. What is the advantage? Favorable efficacy, low risk hypoglycemia, weight neutral, rare chances of side effect, and backed by the extensive scientific evidences, which I'm going to show you right now. As I told, sitagliptin Januvia got the FDA approval in 2006. Later, vildagliptin 2011, saxagliptin 2009, linagliptin 2011, alpagliptin 2013, anagliptin and evagliptin in 2014.
Hello.
Now, if we have to compare, Sunil, if we have to compare the efficacy, I told in beginning that the 3 drugs, sulfonylurea, biconides, and insulin, they have got the maximum effect of reduction of the glycosylated hemoglobin. Alpha glucosidase inhibitor, they reduce it by 0.5 to 8, bigonide 1 to 2, insulin sensitizer 0.5 to 1.4, insulin secretorex 1 to 2, that category means sulfonylurea. So the maximum glycosylated hemoglobin reduction is by sulfonylurea, but they causes the maximum hypoglycemia. Glenide 0.5 to 1.5, GLP-1 analog 1.5 to 1, and the DPP4 inhibitor 0.5 to 0.8. So this is categorically there is a reduction in the glycosylated hemoglobin. Coming to the evagliptin, It is a selective, potent, and reversible inhibitor of the DPP4, extensively studied and approved in the South Korea in 2015, Azerbaijan, then Russia, then Bolivia, and ultimately India by DCGI 2018. For treatment of the type 2 mellitus, I'm sorry if there is some interruption.
So you are visible to us.
But the problem is that I'm not able to see my slide.
Okay.
Just
Sir, should I do it from my side, sir? I can do it. Yeah, I think you
now
start.
it's okay. Now it's okay.
Yes, we can see, sir, now your slide.
Okay.
Slideshow.
So now this is the most important slide of this presentation. You see DPP4 enzyme, as I told you, there are 5 types of receptor: S2 extensive, S2, S1, S1 dash, and S2 dash. You see what is the real picture? Evagliptin works on S2 extensive, S2 as well as S1. That means 3 receptors, while the other drugs like linagliptin, sitagliptin, they work only on S2 and S1. So that is the advantage. The only DPP4 inhibitor which is inhibiting, there are 3 receptors, it only the evagliptin. So this is the definitely and a clear-cut evidence of superiority of the drug in the series of all available DP4 inhibitor. Now you see vildagliptin and sactagliptin, they work only on S2 and S1, while elagliptin and linagliptin, S2 and S1, S1 and S2 dash, and if we talk about this evagliptin, this binds to S1, S2, and S2 extensive. And this is a known covalent bonding. That means this bonding is permanent and not being detached. That is the advantage. That gives a very long duration of the action of the drug. So once you start with the evagliptin, and within 2 to 3 days, it reaches to the level. After that, it remains into the blood for at least 1 to 2 days. So biggest advantage, if somebody skipped over the drug for even for some day, it is not going to harm because the drug is there for next 36 hours into the blood. And that too, due to the binding, which is a very fixed binding. Evagliptin pharmacokinetics, bioavailability 50, reaches peak in 3 to 5 hours, and this is rapidly surpassed one after administration. So the side effects are very less. Terminal elimination of life is 32 to 39 hours. That means at least 1.5 days without drug, single tablet is working. So there is no fluctuation because nowadays one of the parameter to see the control of the diabetes, it is not only the reduction in the glycosylated hemoglobin, this is also the reduction in the fluctuation in the level of the blood sugar throughout the day. It reaches a steady state concentration within 3 days once you start the drug, and then accumulates into the body in a small, very small amount and unchanged by the food. So it is not being altered. According to the in vitro studies, it is of course metabolized by the liver, but is not inducing the cytochrome 450, which is a very important phenomena because like rifampicin, like ketoconazoles, like other drugs, they are being metabolized by the cytochrome 450. So ultimately they need a dose adjustment. Renal clearance is 15 to 16 liter per hour, and fractional excision and change into the urine. So ultimately, what is the nutshell decision? No dose adjustment required because of the urine excretion into the kidney failure, number one, and no. And secondly, dose administration adjustment is not needed again in a patient with a mild to moderate liver failure. So this is again a very important advantage. Favorable pharmacokinetics, I'll see in the last only, evagliptin, you can see the T half-life is 32 to 39. In other drugs like vildagliptin, it is very short, 1.5 to 4.5. In a tanigliptin, it is still 24, longer than vildagliptin, but not that too long. But evagliptin is very, very long. Evagliptin pharmacodynamics, it increases the GLP level by 1.5 to 2.4 fold. So definitely in nutshell, we can say by this evagliptin, the GLP level rises by threefold, which causes the increased release of the insulin, which causes a better control of the diabetes by the use of the vildagliptin. It also decreases the post-prandial glucose by 20 to 35%. It's a very good target to achieve. So the DPP-4 remission increased in the dose and remained more than 80% over 24 hours. That is the thing which is required. The drug, whatever he is taking, should maintain the level at least 80% of the day in 24 hours to reduce the hourly fluctuation into the blood level into the patient circulation. This is now coming to the evidences. The lot of the trials which are going on, this is a landscape just to give you an idea that how much extensively they are working. International studies was done where in the graph you can show the placebo and the bottom is the blue color is this where there is that clearly shown the reduction in the glycosylated hemoglobin. Now in this again, there was a randomized Brazilian population trial, which is a very important trial showing favoring the same result. This study, the landmark in evaluation of AD, this evaluation of Evergreen study. This Evergreen study, which is a very important study, which has been presented in the ADA, which has clearly shown so many things. And this study, this graph you see, the results of the study, there is a decline into the glycosylated hemoglobin. Into this, again, after the 12 weeks, you can see with this comparison between evagliptin and linagliptin, the first graph is the proportion of the patient of less than 7 glycosylated hemoglobin, while another say less than 6.5. But in both groups, you see the results. They are better with the evagliptin. Now changes the base in 24 hours. Again, the evagliptin is better, and the hemoglobin reduction response rate, evagliptin is better. Fluctuation rate after 24 weeks, again this evagliptin is better. And in nutshell, if we draw a dramatic graphic presentation of the circle at the base time, 59% uncontrolled and 40% were controlled. But after 24 hours, you see the 59% were controlled. So these are all graphic presentation and supported document given by the Evergreen study, which was approved also by the ADA. And so the conclusion of all this study, when evagliptin was orally administered the 2 weeks, the result was definitely non-inferior to the linagliptin. So the more or less the result was the same, but if you compare the cost value, it is very, very cheap in comparison to the linagliptin. So the basic question comes, when both the drugs has got the same qualities, showing the same result, so why to choose a costly drug when a cheaper, very cheap drug is available? Secondly, a 20 weeks study, 24 weeks study, evagliptin is considered as a safe and effective anti-diabetic treatment for type 2 diabetes patients who have insufficient blood sugar control, either after exercise, even either after the diet, or without any significant adverse effect. The drug is controlling if both diet and exercise measures fail. Here they want to say that you can try the drug as a monotherapy even into the initial stages without side effect. That's the beauty of the product. Evaglobin administration also resulted in the improved glycemic variability, which is expected to be helpful in decreasing the adverse cardiac mortality, because now it has been proved clearly. If there is a wide fluctuation, diurnal fluctuation into the blood sugar level, the cardiovascular mortality rate will be high. So with this now, if we'll talk about the renal dysfunction, I will come to the last line. The drug was found safe in all grades of the kidney dysfunction. If we'll talk about this study into the hepatic parameter, the result of this hepatic parameter, this is the presentation, how they did the study. I think I'd like to skip over this and come to the result of this study. The study shows that it's a safe drug even in the cases of hepatic failure. Now the evaluation into the cardiovascular study, the South Korean study was done, again which has shown the results they are better, and there is a reduction into the cardiac mortality by to that. So this is the presentation of the same study. I think I'll pass on with the result that this gives a better result. And the last time, compared to the glimepiride users, DPP4 inhibitor users were associated with a decreased risk of cardiovascular disease. So this is a very important finding, and that it is very helpful. Now, once the evagliptin is established, there was a next step to add the metformin and to see the results. What happens to this combination? This drug is available into the South Korea, China, South Africa, Russia, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and India. So now, going a step ahead, this drug combination is also in the much use. So many clinical trials which are going on. You can see it on the screen. We are still waiting for the result. And there is international study which was done in the Korean population, showed good results of this combination. And this conclusion was in the last line. You can go. Evagliptin 5 mg was effective, safe, and non-inferior to the sitagliptin as an add-on therapy to the metformin 1000 milligram in the Indian patient. Indian study also going on, multilateral studies also going on with this combination, and the phase 3 trial is on run soon, very soonly. We will get the results. After that, it will be a really well-established fact. So this global study results, they are there, and all those graphic, I'm not going to details of these graphs and data. Coming to the green box in the last, which shows the conclusion. When added to the metformin, more than a gram, evagliptin demonstrated non-inferiority compared to the sitagliptin in terms of the glycosaminoglycan reduction. That means sitagliptin either alone or with the metformin. At the same time, evagliptin alone or with the metformin, both the situation is equally effective or non-inferior, not inferior to this combination, though there is a lot of the difference into the cost value. So decision is yours. If you want to give the same advantage of a costly drug, you can provide the same advantage, which is renal safe, kidney safe, which causes the minimal diarrheal reduction, which do not have any side effect, which is not weight gaining, which do not cause any gastrointestinal effect. So the best drug goes the combination of the DPP-4 inhibitor. Now, when this is a time when definitely everybody is suffering from the COVID. So the basic question comes whether this DPP-4 inhibitor should be in the protocol or we should change when the diabetes, this corona infection is there. No. If the corona infection is there, this drug has to continue. Very commonly prescribed anti-diabetic drug and modest ability to reduce the blood glucose without ensuring any hypoglycemia and weight gain. An expert had advised continuing DPP-4 inhibitor in patients with the type 2 diabetes with the severe acute respiratory distress coronavirus 2 as well as the coronavirus. It has been supported with the studies by Zhang et al. Because there is a M-Pro type of the dimer, which is a catalytic active form with this catalytic activity, and this DPP-4 acts really M-Pro. So definitely, in the case of the COVID, it's a helpful drug. And if we compare the Rao et al., he has compared the 3 DPP-4 inhibitor in order of the ranking, and they find the best drug is the Javagliptin, which is not available in India. Linagliptin is the costly, and evagliptin is the cheap. So these are the gliptins which can be used into this thing. So DPP-4 inhibitor as a repurposed agent in the diabetes, mellitus, and the COVID-19. Why? Because anti-inflammatory, immunomodulant, and antifibrotic, they are the 3 main etiological culprit into the COVID. Immunomodulators, basically interleukins, cytokines, they all ingredient, they were responsible for damage to the endothelium and lining of either the lung, which was the greatest cause of the mortality. And in the second wave, the biggest mortality was due to the lung involvement, due to the immunomodulator and direct invasion of the binding protein of the coronavirus to the AC inhibitors, which causes the damage to the endothelium of lung cells. And so what ultimately happens, this time, reduction in the oxygen saturation was maximum, and there was a hue and cry for the oxygen, because this time the lung involvement, that too very rapidly. Initially there was fever within 2 to 3 days, and next 4th day, there is a massive involvement. And when you got on the CT, the score was 15 at 20 without any warning sign, and more than 20 score was very dangerous. So this anti-inflammatory, now anti-fibrotic, the one entity which is nowadays is very common and giving trouble also, it is the fibrosis of the lung. Because once those patients who are recovered, you might have heard so often that patient has recovered, went home, and all of a sudden there was a mortality and there was an untoward situation. What is the basic cause for that? The basic cause is the established lung fibrosis, which can cause the pneumothorax, which can cause the bulla rupture, and which can cause so many complications. So with this cascade, DPP-4 in the center, and these are the studies which are going on into the COVID patient. I would like to skip over and come to the slide. Which once a day, due to the longest half-life, 32 to 39 hours, established renal, hepatic, and cardiovascular safety agent without any need of dose assessment in these critical terminal conditions. Evergreen study, which is a 24-week study comparing the linagliptin as well as evagliptin, has supported clearly that both drugs are equal. It is not an inferior drug. With the 3 head-to-head studies against sitagliptin, evagliptin, and also it is also proven to be again non-inferior versus sitagliptin. It has also proved into the Indian study, the study called the evolutionary study, and evagliptin metformin and combination, which has been approved by the FDC, is to provide better compliance with the conventional administration in a strong OD dosage ratio compared to the immediate release. And the last thing, emerging evidence shows DPP-4 can be perhaps useful in lowering the risk of the severe COVID-19 as observed in at least one relatively large retrospective studies. So with this, my last slide, when I made you occupied to so many which is the most because at the last slide, because this gives us a smooth feeling. I went to the Maldives and I had the best time after in the Maldives. And after coming from Maldives, we see again we have to face the corona, and that corona has given all the troubles. But thanks to Almighty, after causing the havoc and causing the so many casualties, I would like to pray to the departed soul into this catastrophe. At the same time, I'll pray Almighty on behalf of those who have been saved. And at the same time, I'll pray to God, please just take care of yours, because that news, third wave, is a horrifying affair. And I still believe on the God that there will be no third wave and everyone will be happy and the society will change to again happy mode, whatever it was previously. With all by this, pray to the God, I would like to, thanks to organizers and thanks to this web organizers for all the effort. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think it was a wonderful talk, and all our delegates would have surely enjoyed. And the most important part, what I liked about the sir, you started from the basics of diabetes till the evolution and the different aspect till COVID. So it might be generation, 100 years of what we say in diabetes, it started from insulin. So the same way you have started from the OAD generation till today's scenario, and it was totally different approach, sir. I also seen for the first time, I have seen almost 40, 50 presentations right now from many doctors, but this was a unique way and I like the most. Sir, would you, there are few questions, if you allow me, would you like to take, sir, few
Yes,
questions?
most welcome.
Yeah,
most
1
welcome.
minute, 1 minute. The first question came from Dr. Umesh Singh. Sir is asking, can we give evogliptin in severe CKD patients?
Yes, we can give, I have clearly shown it, that it is more or less equal to the linagliptin, which is absolutely safe, where the dose adjustment is not required till the GFR is less than 30 ml per minute. That too, the less than 30 ml as such, or we'll say the grade 5 kidney failure, this is as such an indication of insulin administration, then none of the oral hypoglycemic agent is indicated. The difference is only like when the GFR is 90, you can go or you can have any DPP-4 inhibitor. If it is less than 60, evagliptin and linagliptin, you need not to adjust the doses. But for the other DPP-4 inhibitor, you have to adjust the doses. But if the GFR further falls below 30 or 15, then no anti-hypoglycemic drug has to be used, it is only the insulin which is indicated. So till very severe reduction in the GFR, the evagliptin is still a safe drug without considering the much impact on the kidney. You can use it till end stage renal failure or grade 5 renal failure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for highlighting very good point. One more question from Dr. Arvind Agarwal, sir. Sir is asking question, any study on Indian patients?
Any study on?
Indian patients.
I've shown you that some Indian studies that are going on. The basic trial data has been presented. Like studies that the molecule is going on with the Korean studies and with this Indian studies on the primary. I've shown you the one Indian study where the results are there, but still the well documented and very large series of the studies is not there. And one Indian study is into the third phase. And after the completion of third phase, when we will get the result, definitely we will be in a very sound position to advocate the drug very strongly. But I'll say one thing, a very practical approach I'm going to say now. In the corona, ICMR given us so many advices. Every 15 days, there was a new guideline. And now, what is the latest guideline? The latest guideline say, no ivermectin, no STQ, no this thing, no that thing. Then what is the thing which is left? Now, tomorrow, if some patient will come to me, what I am going to advise him? I advise him only, Om ke just do the Om Shanti Jap. That's all. So you see what happens by these guidelines. After these guidelines, I only say one thing. Instead of making a guideline, first of all, there should you make a guideline that how to make the guidelines. Because the guidelines, they are changing so frequently that they, by the name they guidelines, but they are basically misguidelines. They are misguiding us. So similarly, when the early data, they are giving you the evidences that the drug is effective, why to wait for a clear-cut published data that shows the superiority? By that time, it can be too late. So my purpose of analyzing the molecule, showing with the help of the pharmacodynamics and other evidences to show the superiority and cost affordability by this, and I hope so. This is my vision of today, seeing all this presentation. I think Eva Bolin, this evagliptin will be proved a helpful, a good molecule. So the final results are awaited. Dr. Arvind, I would like to answer your question into this way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think you have covered a very different angle also to the question sir's answer. It was totally need of the hour, we say that, because what very rightly you pointed, guidelines are changing so frequently. The decision to make at HCP level, it has become tough. So very right point highlighted, sir. So just one question from our side. We normally, there is a discussion going on within us and at HCP faculties also. How important glycemic variability is nowadays from a patient's angle?
That's a very important question. For that, I would like to draw some attention. Like say around 5 to 10 years ago, either for the diabetes or for the hypertension, the guideline was to control and achieve the target level of the described or the prescribed parameters. Now, after that, there is a concept into the change. In the hypertension, it is not the control of the blood pressure, it is the altogether control. So now the ambulatory blood pressure monitoring is the basic parameter to show the superiority, not only to control the blood pressure, or means what is the best antihypertensive which causes the minimum variability into the blood pressure level if we do the ambulatory 24-hour blood pressure monitoring. Similarly, in the diabetes, if we have achieved the target, first of all, our glycosylated hemoglobin is 6.5. I'll not be happy. Then what I'll do, sometime I'll do the post-breakfast blood sugar, sometime I'll do the post-lunch blood sugar, and I'll say very one practical point. No one tests the post-dinner blood sugar, never into the practice until that patient is hospitalized. But at the same time, the dinner is the heaviest meal. So what is happening? The throughout day we have got a very rosy picture, and all the time blood sugar is controlled. And in the night we have got a very heavy dinner. So ultimately, what is happening? The post-dinner blood sugar level, which we are not estimating, is high. So it is not the continuously maintained blood sugar. You see why it is essential. In one line, I'll say, raised hyperglycemia reacts with the blood, increased blood sugar, reacts with the glycogen element of the collagen fibers, which are causing, which lines the endothelium, which lines all the blood vessels. So if the blood sugar is high or glycosylated hemoglobin is high, there will be more glycation or collagen vascular tissue, ultimately more stiffness of the vascular tree. Because if you talk further, if you to assess the complication rate of atherosclerosis, there is like a tuna intima thickness measurement, which is what is that parameter. Again, if it is more or thickened or more glycation, this more glycation causes the thickening of the tunica intima, which we measure to see the atherosclerosis and to make the ABVD score, which score is ultimately tells that what is the mortality. So this all is related with this glycation process. And if blood sugar is high, the more glycation process, and the glycation means indirect aging phenomena. And you must see all the vital organs like kidney, brain, or coronary arteries. If they are glycated, if they are thrombosed, if they are narrowed, so ultimately they will end up into either the cerebral ischemia or they are the cardiac coronary artery disease or ultimately the kidney failure. So all they are related to this. So glycemic variability reduction ultimately decreases the aging phenomena of your vascular tree, which saves your vital organs and end organs. So it gives the longevity to the life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for addressing the very important question. And as you highlighted how it is crucial, the glycemic variability part from the long-term precaution point of view, sir. Sir, as the COVID scenario is going on, and without that question, I think it is not possible. So one question, which is from my side again. So it is really true whether diabetic patients are prone to COVID-19, or what is your overview, sir?
You see what I must tell you the story this about COVID. What happened this time? Like it was on 28th, 29th of the April when this some epidemic. Anyhow, I do not know what was the reason, but it spreaded. All the patients who landed up into the first week, they had fever on 28th, 29th, and 30th April. In the COVID, initially there is a 2 to 3 days period of fever, and then 2 to 3 or 4 days asymptomatic period. After that, there is a presentation of weakness, and then after that, there is a respiratory involvement. You see what happened. Somewhere around after 3rd or 4th of the May, there was a paper came because the remdesivir now available, cytokine storm was there. From the previous experience, they learned it that to prevent the storm, steroid is the bad drug. Somewhere around 7th or the 8th May, ICMR as such endorse the methylprednisolone into the protocol to be added. Now, here story turns out. This introduction into the protocol by ICMR that had opened the hand of all the doctors, and the methylprednisolone, which was advocated into the doses of 40 mg 8 hourly or twice daily with the great precaution, it has been started using in even 125 mg 8 hourly. Once the big institutes have started, you see by 9th or 10th of May, even the CACs were giving this methylprednisolone 125 milligram and 8 hourly. And secondly, I don't know whether you might have seen or not, Medrol 16 tablet, which was now being prescribed. Patient I am treating, he is doing well, but here is Medrol 16 himself. I asked why. He said, मेरे पड़ोसी ने बताया था, मैंने व्हाट्सएप पे देखा था, तो किसी ने कहा ये दवा बहुत बढ़िया है. So what happened? Like after 6th May to the 15th May, steroid was used like anything, and that has given a very good result. Everybody was happy, but after the 15th, the havoc started coming when the black leukomycosis came to the picture. It was just because of overuse of steroids. Diabetes, as such, if totally controlled, then the person who has got diabetes is never prone for the COVID until and unless it is the diabetes status either not controlled or steroids they are being used. When this abuse of steroids was done, the blood sugar care has not at all been taken care of. I have seen the patient, they are taking the steroid, blood sugar 400, 450, even their doctor not suggesting them, check your blood sugar and take it very seriously and keep the blood sugar down. So this is lack of awareness of the molecule, how to use it. That was ultimately cause, which has blamed the diabetes, that diabetics, they are more prone for infection. Second question again, there's so many diabetes patients, they are coming to me and asking whether we can have the vaccine or not. Diabetes has not to do anything with the vaccine, provided if your blood sugar is controlled. And if it is not controlled, then what is the harm? It is not the COVID vaccine harm. It is the abscess which you can develop. That is the reason. Otherwise, it has not to do anything with the COVID. If you have the diabetes, definitely you can take the injection, but control before the injection, because perhaps you may develop the injection abscess. That's I think the right answer for this.
Once again, thank you, sir. I think this meeting I am getting very different replies, and it is totally fact. What I also got cleared till now, it was a different angle was learned, but totally this was a different view of what I got about diabetes and how the COVID is actually related to diabetes. Why this line again and again coming in newspaper also it got highlighted. There is a clash of two pandemics, diabetes and COVID-19. But now the real reason I got it, and I think all our delegates who are listening, they are also getting this different view, sir. Thank you, sir, for from my side. I think there is no question right now from our delegates. Still, I request our delegates, if you have any questions, you can put on this chat box, or we can then close the session. For that, I would like to call our zonal sales head, Mr. Shalabh Rastogi, sir. So over to Shalabh ji.
Thanks, Chetan. Thanks for the opportunity for thanking sir for this very well defined and very well presented overall session. I could say, sir, you have touched one of the points, which common persons and common the questions are varying into the market nowadays, and you have given a very strong message to the audiences also, sir. And straight away, I could say it's an opportunity for me to thank you for managing the webinar and the entire session very effectively. And I feel, sir, all the audience has been very much benefited with the talk, what you have delivered to us. And I could say, sir, we at LKM always try to ensure such type of conferences and such type of the scientific talks which make other audiences also and the entire team also to be aware about the learnings as well as the proceedings what you deliver to the overall session. Sir, I would like to say that in Alkem we always salute to the doctors who are been now taking the concern of the patients in the pandemic also. And I would say, sir, we being a responsible health person, ensure that the quality of our drugs has been maintained and the availability of drugs already been available into the cities as well as the far interiors also, sir. We thank you, sir, for your valuable time and really a very remarkable points you made for this molecule evogliptin, which is a brand of Valera available in Indian markets. And we have been marketing it continuously from last 2 years. And we are getting a very good edge with a doctor like you who are endorsing and advocating this molecule, which is really beneficial for the patients and by the senior doctor like you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the minutes, sir. Thank you. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. If you allow us, we will close the session, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you
sir.
so much.
Have a good day. Thank you all. Thank you, team.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Shalabji. Thank you, Nalottam. Bye.
Thank you.
Ashu, we
Thank you
can
very
close
much.
the session.
Yeah, you can.